Live and Lansing with Michael Cohen. This is more compelling talk radio, 1320 WILS.
It is 6:33, and it's Tuesday night. I'm Michael Cohen, producer Solomon Martin. Thank you for joining us, and not only joining us, but hopefully letting us know what you think. Send us an email. Let us know what your thoughts on what you're hearing here on 1320 WILS. The old rule of thumb when it came to your retirement savings was that you could safely withdraw 4% a year from the account without really worrying about running out of money. But a new report says that number is off, and you need to be a lot more conservative on your withdrawals. To talk about that, I'm joined by Ivan Sachs, a financial strategist with Kingsley Advisors. That's KingsleyAdvisors.com. Ivan, thank you for joining us on WILS.
With pleasure, Michael. Good to be with you.
Great having you here. Where are you from originally?
Originally South Africa.
No kidding. So what's your reaction to Nelson Mandela passing away?
Well, a great man died, and he did good things, and it's very sad. The country's sad, but at the same time, I think he left behind him a good legacy that hopefully people will realize that there's a lot can be achieved without violence.
What led you to leave South Africa to come here?
Opportunity. I loved the idea of the American dream. I came here in 1980 when things were peachy.
Mm-hmm. Well, things weren't peachy in South Africa,
no,
right?
No, not at all. But I think things have changed here as well.
You know, MSU actually here in East Lansing, it was one of the first universities to divest from any company that had investments in South Africa. How much of an effect, you were there in South Africa, how much of an effect did that have within the country itself?
Personally, it didn't affect me any. I wasn't actually in favor of the divestment. I was actually in favor of investment in the country because there's nothing better than to be involved in the change as opposed to withdrawing. And ultimately, I'm sure it hurt a number of companies and a number of people.
One last thing. How often do you go back to South Africa now?
I go back once or twice a year.
What is life like now in South Africa in terms of safety and all that stuff?
From my personal point of view, it is safety is not that great. The crime rate is high. The unemployment rate actually is a lot higher than what it was before. So there's a mixed signal coming out. You know, it was all very well that Nelson Mandela came out, and he was wonderful in the transition that he was able to bring about. But the high unemployment rate over there is excessive. Thus, we have the high crime rate as well.
Okay, Ivan Sachs, the financial strategist, the website KingsleyAdvisors.com. So I want to get to this new rule of thumb that says we shouldn't be taking 4% out of our retirement accounts every year. It should be a bit lower. What kind of advice do you give to people now yourself on this issue?
Michael, I think the number one thing is it has to be custom designed per individual. A lot of people don't have that amount of money. I think the number one piece of advice that I can give anyone going into retirement and in this difficult stage of transition, and particularly with yields being a lot lower than what they are, is that first of all they have to start off with the foundation value that I'm going to retire happy no matter what. So in other words, what I'm saying to you, some people don't have the money to retire on, and they're going to have to make tough choices. And my number one advice to people is to try and make a game out of what is the least amount of money I can live with. That's got to be the foundation. And then quickly, whatever you have in your retirement account, if you do have that, then you can work it out as to what percent you might want to be taking out each year. And then you have to also take into account, unfortunately, which most people avoid, is the inflation rate that we have.
Right.
You know, the government saying
which has been low so far, right?
Well, that's what they say. They say the CPI, which comes out every month and is going to be out on December the 17th, they say that it's approximately 1.7% per annum. But, Michael, think about it this way. Look at the postage stamp. In 1984, the postage stamp was 18 cents. It's going to be 49 cents in January. I think if anything's a barometer on inflation, you can actually look at the postage stamp. And that's a lot higher than 1.7% per annum.
I'm curious, when it comes to the retirement funds that you're looking at, I mean, what would you say is the lowest figure people that you're dealing with have right now?
What is like?
When they're going into retirement, are they going with a fund of what, $400,000, $500,000, or?
Well, Mark, think about, here's another way of looking at it. Let's just say, for example, you need $4,000 a month, okay? And let's say that you'll need approximately about $1.1 million just to be able to have $40,000 a year, $4,000 a month approximately,
right,
for 25 years. I mean, when they're taking the 4%, they're suggesting that 4% into 100 means that you can live for like that for 25 years. But that's not taking into account inflation, and that's why they're probably dropping the percentage from 4 down to 3.
Okay, so really, like $400,000, you could.
Oh, yeah, you can do very little, unfortunately. When I say very little, I mean, let's say you've got $400,000, and let's say you need, $25,000 a year? That's 4 times, you're not going to be, it's only going to last you for about 16 years maximum.
So it's really all about making some dramatic adjustments if you have to make them.
Yeah, you do, Michael. And what I would suggest more than anything else is find a trusted friend, a smart individual that can sit down with you individually and face the reality of what you have and what you don't have, and then develop a game into finding out what's the least amount of money that I and my spouse can live with.
So how much of the idea is you get your Social Security check? Do you try to essentially live off that and then eat away into the retirement account as little as possible?
Yes, I would suggest that. Absolutely. Yeah, that would be definitely the way of doing it. And then obviously when you get to the age of 70 and a half, you have to withdraw from your IRA. So that they help you take a part of your money out of the account at that time. But if you could live on your Social Security, that would be the best. And
so I'm curious, what do you do when you've got clients who are starting to really eat away at that retirement account, and it's looking it's looking like it's not going to last? What do you do at that point? Are there any strategies you can take?
There's no shortcuts, unfortunately. Most people, think, okay, well, you can go to a rich relative, or you can go and you can't go and rob a bank. So what you really have to do is you have to try and work out, is there a way, people that are really in tight situations, how can they lower the cost of living?
Well,
is it maybe possibly moving into a home with other people? Obviously we see right now a lot of college kids can't afford to get jobs, so they move back home.
Sure. No, you got to consider all the options, and I can't imagine seniors attempting to rob a bank. That would probably be that would make for a good movie. Ivan Sachs, financial strategist. The website KingsleyAdvisors.com. Ivan, thank you for joining us on WILS.
Thank you. Enjoyed it.